It is truly said that we can't see God, but on earth, doctor is like a God who cures us and gives us life to live in a better way. This saying not only embraces the needs of doctors, but also their roles and responsibilities. Celebrated every year all across India on the 1st of July to provide honor to the most famous and legendary physician, Dr. Bidin Chandra Roy, the Doctor's Day is a leap of faith towards the medical field. An honor to all those health warriors who save millions of lives every day. Each year, we are looking to celebrate this venerable day with zeal, and especially now, we embrace the success in fighting the COVID-19. Doctors' Day gives us an opportunity to show our gratitude to all doctors, medical staff, and people contributing to the medical field in any way. So, here's Rachel Teresa Thomas from 12C to talk about the role of a doctor.
All of us have beautiful memories of our childhood. And one of my fondest memories goes back to those days when I used to line up my dolls and my stuffed toys and transport myself into my imaginary world pretending to be a doctor, just like my grandfather and my uncle. I'm sure we've had such beautiful memories etched in our minds where we've donned the role of being a doctor at least once. But somewhere down the line, that dream of becoming a doctor soon faded away when I realized that being a doctor is not a child's play, nor a fantasy. To earn the title doctor is an honor. It is true, fruition of a lifelong dream achieved by a few after years of preparation, study, commitment, and perseverance. It is a high calling and not a glorified profession, one that can only be driven by passion. Not a day passes by when doctors don't witness the highs and lows of life played out before them. On one hand, there is of course the thrill of watching people overcome their disease and suffering, the anguish of their suffering and pain, the magic of the power of faith and love, and the mixed range of emotions of the caregivers. But on the other side, there is also the personal challenge of getting themselves to accept the daunting task of supporting their patients and their families. Doctors can be called to support them through their fear, anxiety, pain, and even depression. And to find practical solutions to their economic and social travails can sometimes be quite overwhelming. During the current pandemic, doctors have earned the title Frontline Warriors. This is due to their commitment, perseverance, and dedication in helping COVID-19 patients recover, often at a personal cost. But no matter how high the pressure of being a doctor, like a sailor who can't keep away from the rough seas, I'm sure that these doctors always want to make a return to the turbulent waters. Many a time, the society can seem biased against them, misunderstandings can frustrate them, and perceived threats can even frighten them. But saving lives and nursing people back to health is a job that has a strong sense of mortality attached to it. And I can't think of anything better that a person can ask for than to work and excel as a healer. So on this Doctor's Day, I'd like to salute every hero in scrubs and stethoscopes.
Thank you for those lovely words, Rachel. The COVID pandemic is upending life on a global level as we know it. Doctors are putting their own lives at risk with selfless determination for the sake of other lives. They truly are our heroes in these challenging times. That being said, here's Beethamis to open our eyes to the realities of the lives of doctors and how they cope up with it.
The world would have never imagined of going into a global war, a war against a hidden army, a deadly virus. It's an unprecedented war against a highly infectious disease. But fortunately, we were equipped with a brave medical army, strong with thermometers, stethoscopes, PPE, ventilators, and so on. Every day, They've been giving their best in medical care, cutting themselves away from their family and dear ones. The sacrifice that they make for the safety and welfare of humanity is priceless and deserves lifelong gratification on our end. The challenges before these selfless warriors are many. These sleep-deprived heroes have put their own life at risk while trying to save other lives. My heart goes out to the families of those doctors who went down fighting this battle. We also get to read from the dailies how they have to face the wrath of the relatives, of the patients, of the very patients they are trying to save. But the gratification of the healing patients must be a driving force in their journey forward. The least we can do is to appreciate them and to cooperate by remaining safe indoors and following COVID-appropriate behavior. Dear doctors, on this day, on behalf of the entire Gregorian family, I would like to wish you a very happy Doctor's Day. We shall keep you in our prayers so that you win the ultimate victory on a personal and universal level.
Thank you, Beeta Miss, for sharing your thoughts. As Rachel and Miss Beeta have said, being a medic is a rewarding experience, and to earn the title of a doctor, an honor, a lifelong dream. That being said, we are here to pay a tribute to 93 of our own Gregorian doctor parents and their families. Let's introduce them to you. this day had a special significance. It was memorable as well as astonishing to watch our designated heroes of the country who put their heart and soul into saving the public from the pandemic that followed. We have lost doctors who gave their last ounce of energy in providing their services, working continuous shifts and putting themselves in danger. We salute and acknowledge all doctors' services and their massive contribution in preventing the COVID-19. We have a few excerpts from interviews of our doctor parents.
So, my very first question is to you, Dr. Abby. Has there been any incidents or instances in your life that has sparked you to actually come into this noble profession?
Not a particular incident, but I think a series of many things. Like basically, when you become a doctor, you can do many things. Actually, you can actually help many others, help the patients. It's also a specialty where actually you need to update yourself on a regular basis. There is also a possibility of research, and then so not just one incident. I think various reasons made me take up this profession.
Susan, being dedicated to above and beyond and work tirelessly towards a healthy outcome. You experienced a very proud moment as a doctor. Could you share your experience with us?
There are multiple experiences. If you're asking over the past 1 year, there have been lots of ups and downs. Perhaps more downs. You've seen a lot of people that you know suffering in various ways, some very close to you, some people you have worked very hard with and they have fallen ill. But at the same time, people that we thought may not make it in this pandemic, they have also made it through. And those are instances that are actually quite uplifting for all of us.
How do you like to spend the little free time that you get?
I read books based on history and then astronomy, cosmology, then travel. I also enjoy music, particularly classical music, Western classical music. Then I would like to travel. So when I get an opportunity to do that, I do that also. So basically, reading, listening to music, and then travel.
Dr. Jaya Susan, during the second wave of coronavirus, people have been isolated at their houses with less social interactions, which has led to a wide variety of problems, most of which regarding to health and physical well-being. Could you suggest some adequate ways to improve it?
Most importantly, nutrition. We need to take care of their nutrition. Some amount of exercise, meditation. It's been very difficult, yes, because there have been more than one wave. Now people are talking about a third wave, and we really don't know how long this is going to go on. But we need to keep in touch, not just with friends, with other people, with all your acquaintances and family. And I guess that should help us to go forward.
Amongst these infected people, and all these people coming to the hospitals might be infected or may not get infected. So how do you mentally equip yourself to work in these difficult conditions?
During this epidemic, actually, we never stopped working. We continued to go to the hospital. Of course, I stopped my private practice at my home residence because I wanted to protect my family. But then we were seeing patients in the outpatient department of the hospital, admitting patients, and also admitting patients with COVID. In our specialty, we deal with kidney failure patients, and we do take care of transplant patients, new transplant patients also. So, but then I feel if you take all the right precautions, for example, wear a good mask and then wear a shield and then take care of yourself, it's very unlikely that you get infected because I've seen many COVID patients the last maybe more than 100, probably much more than that, the last 1.5 years. But then so far I've not been infected with COVID. And then once the vaccine became available, we all went for vaccination. I think now we are more or less protected. With vaccination, the advantage is that you might still get infected, but the severity of the infection will be less. So at the moment, we are fairly confident. We are quite comfortable in even looking after a COVID patient, considering the fact that even if we are getting infected, the infection will be of lesser severity, and better drugs are available also. And over the last 1.5 years, doctors, the medical community has learned to treat COVID. Actually, you must have realized a lot of in the beginning of last year, the death rate was much higher. Actually, over a period of time, death rate came down. This is because initially when COVID pandemic came, people didn't know how to treat it. Not just in India, anywhere in the world, we do not know what medicine to use, how long to use, etc. But over a period of time, we all learned. So now I think right now all the medical professionals, in fact most of the medical professionals have been vaccinated. We all had both doses of vaccine, so we, even if we get infected, it's very unlikely that we'll have severe or major infection, and expertise is available and better drugs are also available, so we're okay comfortably. This is because initially when COVID pandemic came, people didn't know how to treat it, not just in India, anywhere in the world. We did not know what medicine to use, how long to use, etc. But over a period of time, we all learned. So now I think right now all the medical professionals, in fact most of the medical professionals have been vaccinated. We all had both doses of vaccine, so we, even if we get infected, it's very unlikely that we'll have severe or major infection, and expertise is available and better drugs are also available. So we're okay comfortable.
On the occasion of this day, we would like to ask some questions.
Dr. Tessie, what kind of experiences have you had working with COVID patients?
Actually, in OP, I was till last month I was in managing OP. So in OP we get patients with COVID symptoms and we send those patients for testing and then we'll manage them. Then when if a patient is COVID positive, we categorize these patients, and if they are having mild symptoms, usually home treatment is done. So now for 1 month I am posted as anesthetist in ICU, COVID ICU Alva. So there we have severe patients. This COVID category is severe patients. Most of the patients are severely affected.
Okay, Dr. Nijil, I would also like to ask, as a doctor, how has the pandemic affected both your professional and personal life?
It has affected us all. I mean, all of us are in the same boat. So, but then if you think about the medical profession as such, professionally we have that additional stress, that is when we are facing corona patients more. That is, we are coming face to face with severe disease, then the chance of getting an infection is probably more for a medical profession. So in that aspect, we are having a more stressful time, and then having to wear this PPE kits, then specialized equipments which you use during interaction with the corona patient. And then if you have a mild sore throat, you start thinking that might be corona. I myself have tested around 15 to 16 times. So same way, because that scares always. Then another thing, professionally, we have many patients, heart disease patients. They are more prone to get complications of COVID. So I have many patients who are already or heart disease patients. Once they develop COVID infection, they become very sick. So in that aspect, COVID has made the situation very bad for a cardiology point of view. And personally, the same thing which I told you, that risk that we are living with this disease and we have to encounter that infection every day on a daily basis, and then the fear that we might spread it to our family members, that is a threat which we have to live with. That's part of the profession.
Dr. Nijil, I have heard that you're a wonderful singer. So can you please sing a couple of lines for us?
தென்றல் வந்து என்னை தொடும், ஆஹா சத்தம் இன்று முத்தம் இடும், பகலே போய்விடு, நிலவே பாய்கொடு, நினவே பன்னீரை தூவி விடு, தென்றல் வந்து என்னை தொடும், ஆஹா சத்தம் இன்று முத்தம் இடும்.
Okay, Dr. Nijil, the next question I would like to ask is, can you suggest stress-releasing steps students can take, especially those who are preparing for the board during this pandemic?
I think your teachers will be the best persons to tell you about it, because they know you in and out. But still, from my side, some suggestions I would like to make is, this one thing we have to understand is all of us are in the same situation. The whole world is going through the same situation. So the stress and all the problems which we are facing, it is not the problem which happens to one individual alone. So this, and another thing is, if you look at the history, there have been pandemics. In olden times, we have had Spanish flu, some pandemics like smallpox were there. So we have all come out of that. Eventually, we'll come out of it. It just takes maybe a few years more. And now we are already on the path to recovery. If you look at some countries like US, Israel and all that, they already opened up. Schools have started. So that gives us hope that maybe India being a large country, we may need some more time to vaccinate the whole population. But eventually we also will be able to start our routine life. And then right now, how to cope up with the stress? That is, engage in other activities. Like apart from the screen time which you are having, you engage in other music or arts. You'll also always have some other hobbies, pastimes, and your pastime is less. I mean, you don't have to go all the way to the school, come back. So all that transit time is saved. So whatever time you get extra, you dedicate it for your extracurricular activity. Then, from the parents' point of view, spending more time with children is important, especially in this period. I don't know how much we are able to fulfill that, but still we also try to our maximum. That is one point which we need to stress. I mean, then what do you say? Screen time. That is, when you look at the screen for a longer period of time, you will have some headache and all this. So always try to take a break. That is, when you look at the screen, just try to look away, and for at least 20 seconds you look away at a distant object around, which is at least 2 meters away. You look at some distant object, and then take some short breaks in between also. So, like small tips you can take. Thing is exercise. That is, now you are not going to school. At school you will always be running around. You don't have to worry about exercise. But at home, then a large proportion of children, they don't get the required exercise. So that is one thing. You cannot go out. No parent will allow the child to go out and exercise. So at home itself, you try to find out some way to exercise with. Maybe use exercise cycles, or if you are fortunate to have a compound which is spacious enough to run around, that is good. But all of us don't have that luxury. But still, find out some way to pursue your extracurricular activities also.
We have come to the end of the interview. Thank you, doctors, for taking the time out of your bustling day for attending this interview. It was an enlightening session, and it was nice knowing you as a doctor. I would also like to thank you for the sacrifices you make every day, especially during this pandemic.
Your dedication, commitment, and courage deserve our deepest gratitude and admiration. Your service to patients is saving thousands of lives and making a change in many lives. Thank you so much, Doctor, and I wish you a very happy Doctor's Day.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Reina. Thank you, Sana. All the thoughtful questions, very well presented, and thank you all the teachers. Thank you so much. It was a great experience.
Okay, on behalf of the Gregorian staff, Dr. Nigel and Dr. Tessie, I'm honored to extend our gratitude to you for this very enlightening and hopeful session. Hopeful in the sense that, you've given us so much hope. This is not the end of the...
Definitely.
Right. There is hope at the end of the tunnel, literally.
To becoming a doctor, have you dropped any of your dreams? Or if you weren't a doctor, who would you be?
You are asking me means?
Okay, you can go first. Dr. Bobby.
Yeah. Nothing. It was not my dream to become a doctor, nothing like that. Because I studied in Trivandrum, Loyola School in Trivandrum, then +2. Actually, my mother was not a job, this housewife. Father was working in the government, so we have no other option. We have to study and get into somewhere, no other options. But once I become a doctor, You tell whether I'm sincere. Maybe people are sincere. You can tell that you are coming to serve the society. Okay, people serve the society, but people pay and do. But people work. It's just a safe profession. That's all. And some amount of reputation is there. That's all.
Actually, my father was a doctor, so that was the only profession I was being exposed to. And I'd seen the hospitals in and out all during my childhood. So I think I'd be one of the rare people who said you wanted to be a doctor when you were small and grew up to be one also. So, I mean, even in second or third, if someone asked you what you wanted to be, I didn't know any other profession basically. So it was always, okay, I'll be a doctor when I grow up.
Dr. Sapna, in your professional experience as a doctor, what excites you most about medicine?
Actually, we are on the laboratory side. I'm a clinical microbiologist. So we look mostly into the patient blood results, the hospital infection control aspects, and those kind of things. Recently, we've got more into this COVID testing, the antigen, RT-PCR, and all these testings, and we looked at the trends in the states. So this year has been pretty busy.
Dr. Bobby, what is the most satisfying part of the profession?
Why do we study something? Okay, number one, for the passion for the study. Number two, to make your life secure. Number three, financially also be secure. Satisfying thing you can tell, okay, seeing patients, everything. And one thing that is satisfying about this profession, doctor, is that people pay you and the people have a gratitude and they thank you. In doctor profession, the only good thing is that someone is paying you, but if you're behaving well and the treatment outcome is well, they will thank you, and in their good books we remain. Something we need also, that is obligation for them. That's the same thing.
I personally think that even after so many years, we are not aware of other options. That is a big thing. After 25 years, if our children ask us what we should be, in Kerala especially, people don't know anything beyond a few professions.
Dr. Sapna, we know that the third wave of COVID-19 is going to affect children. So what should be the precautions to be taken by children having breathing problems, lung problems, heart problems, etc.?
Actually, a lot of people say that it might be a misconception that the third wave is going to happen in children, because if the family is affected, they get affected wholly, like both the parents and the children together. So the seroprevalence may be equal in the entire family. The only difference is the adults may have been vaccinated. So the children may be a little vulnerable. So we might not see a whole wave in children as such. And in any case, the schools are not going to be open until we have a certain vaccination cover and the epidemic has been brought well under control. So,
Doctor, during the pandemic situation, where do you spend most of the time? Like during the lockdown?
How did I utilize time? I didn't utilize time. I actually wasted my time. Nothing. Because people become more lazy when they are quarantined. Because laziness means, suppose you are seeing 50 patients per day, you are used to 20 patients, you get happy with 20. You think that, okay, that's enough, like that. Suppose you are working out and playing for 1 hour, you sit at home, then also you feel happy after 10 days, that is better. So that we become the new normal. So the past 6 months was not at all useful. Then August 14, then the corona, that time the embarkade was stopped. Then I went back to Dubai. Then my routine started, 1 month there, 1 month here, just like that. And now the second wave again. What is that? Now people are not, according to me, now patients are not that hesitant. Previously, when there was no corona, their patients so afraid. They were not getting out even though they flat, everything. But this second lockdown and all, patients were started coming. From my point of view, how did I utilize? Nothing. I always think that 2 years have gone, or 1.5 years have gone, and monetary drain has occurred in so many people. And people have become more lazy, I always think. People think that with scarcity also they can live. Lockdown period, doctor lockdown importance common people.
For me, actually, this year has been busy. Not in the beginning, from March to August, it has been kind of light. When we were working in 50-50, like in the beginning, half of us were working half the days. But by August, September and all, Kerala started having its share of COVID cases, and then we started getting really busy. But even more busy was during the second wave. Things just shot up through the roof. We were working like really long hours, and still there was a lot of backlog. And the thing is, a lot of people, people in our hospital, most of us, we were vaccinated in January. All of us took 2 doses of vaccines. But even with the vaccination, we had healthcare workers being affected. The good thing here is none of us were seriously affected. Most of us stayed at homes, and there were very few hospitalizations. Some got affected after the first dose and many after the second dose, but we've all been doing pretty well. But the thing is, once a person gets affected, they get quarantined, their immediate contacts gets quarantined. So a lot of people went into quarantine, and we were working with like skeletal staff, and we had a really tough time. We were working long hours and round the clock, and we actually generate the data about the number of total positive COVID cases. We give it to the government from each and every hospital. So yeah, February, this thing was really busy. February, March, April. Yeah, now things are settling down. Now things have gone back to normal, and everybody is sighing a sign of relief.
Dr. Bobby, what kind of experiences have you had working with COVID patients?
No, I think it's the intensivists and the physicians who have really shared, and pulmonologists, all those who are the primary caretakers in the patient side, especially with the second wave, the intensivists, the people managing the ICUs, they got really, really busy. The nurses over there, even the cleaning staff who cleared the biomedical waste, the people who bought in the food from the,
So many people have worked so hard. You get the feel of a hospital.
The nurses, they are in
hospital.
24/7. The doctors also, the nurses are there with the patients throughout, so they get more exposed to these patients. The infection rates in them would also be probably a little higher. The most important part is to stay safe during this period, because those who have lost their dear ones, they are going to bear this loss for their life. So stay safe. And the thing is, when you get an infection, when you look back, you hardly remember. You keep trying to think where you got it from, but you just keep thinking that you've been so careful and wonder where you got it from. So the only thing is you reduce your chances, reduce your chances of getting infection. Stay away from people, stay away from crowds, stay home unless it's absolutely necessary to get out until this is over.
But many things
and get vaccinated early, really
always
early.
Vaccinate.
In the beginning, there was a lot of vaccine hesitancy in February and all, when they were giving out the Covaxin shots for the first time. Hardly many people came to get it, and people wouldn't take it even if they had a slight drug allergy. And now, because the wave is really shot up, people don't mind taking it at all, no matter what the circumstances. And I think get vaccinated early at your choice. They've started the trials for children 12 to 14 again. So once the kids also are allowed to take vaccination, everybody should take vaccination at their turn, so that the next time this thing occurs, a lot of people are there. When you get a vaccination population of 40 to 50%, you get a herd immunity. The disease can't spread beyond it, and you can break it, possibly, the chain.
But basically stay safe at home. But many of the studies have shown that up to 10 to 20% increase in the body weight has been seen in children who are sitting at home. Because mainly, you know that you sit at home, you don't have any physical activity. Many people try YouTube and everything, and experimenting and cooking is the main pastime, and many people gain weight. That is why WHO now said sitting is the new smoking and salt is the new cigarette. That is, sitting is the new smoking. That you sit for at least 30 minutes, you get up and move for at least 5 minutes. Now WHO has made it clear in the internet, wherever you sit for 1 hour, just get up and move for 5 minutes, or walk and use your whatever laptop or whatever instrument that is there. And salt is the new cigarette. The average salt intake that is recommended per day is 5 grams. But many studies said that the average salt intake of a person who take a fast food or a Zomato food is thought to be 20 grams. Because you take a medium French fries also, you go to the KFC and check, they check potato wedges like this, they take the salt bottle, just 3 pours they put. Within 3 pours, 15 grams of salt is coming in. Whereas daily you are recommended only 5 grams, people are taking 20 to 30 grams. So fluid retention is more, children are also getting obese with fatty phenotype like that. That is why sitting is the new smoking. You sit at home, but 30 minutes or 1 hour, get up and move through the stairs or get and move around your thing, use a treadmill, whatever it is. So obesity, or especially childhood obesity, is on a rise. Children gaining weight is on a rise after lockdown. So children also should start exercising or probably dieting without experimenting on new food stuff, looking at the YouTube. And many children are starting YouTube channels, getting unwanted attention like things, and distracted in their studies.
Dr. Sapna, what are the kind of stresses that you face every day?
Yeah, the job part isn't actually very stressful, but sometimes when things get busy, the whole thing gets stressful.
It is how you relax that is important. People relax in different ways. Once you have a stress, you come out of the home, you have to relax, and some people relax in doing exercise, some people relax in talking with their children, seeing TV, seeing movies, something like that. So Sapna and all, I think Sapna relaxes. Sapna comes back every day at 5:30. I usually come in the noon, then go back in the evening, then finish the OP and come back again when I'm in Kerala. But Sapna usually comes at 5:30. I know her. The 5:30, the coffee, she eats coffee, then speaks to her children for some time, then some exercise, something. People ask me how I relax. I find relaxation in whatever I do other than work. For a talk, relaxation. 12 o'clock, I have given an appointment on 3 patients. Among them 2 relax me. So eating whatever food, I enjoy the food. In Pavil, chicken curry, chicken curry, relaxation. There is nothing known as a specific relaxation. Dubai, hotel. You can relax anyway. You can go with your friends, just drive through a overbridge, highway, enjoy it. So it is just like finding happiness.
Doctor, can I ask a question to Sarah?
Yeah, Sarah, come here.
Yeah, what are your hobbies, Sarah?
I like baking and dancing and singing.
So what all you bake?
So many cake, cookies, pies. I also cook sometimes.
Actually, she's learned a lot of cooking during this lockdown. Okay, so when I come back from the hospital, she has something ready for me to eat. And my mom keeps telling me the whole time, have you ever done something like this for me? And now she started getting into these low calorie things like, Amma, there are snacks under 100 calories. Would you like to make that?
How do you feel to have doctor parents?
Yeah, I get to see my parents enough. During the lockdown, I get to see them slightly less, but then fine, I get to see them more than enough.
But I definitely sit more with him than my parents. My parents never sat with me after 5th standard. I keep telling that to him the whole time. Or maybe I feel that our parents in this generation spoon feed their kids more. I don't know.
So it was a really fun time talking with your doctor.
It's been nice meeting you all also.
Thank you.
It was really fun. It was a very enlightening session too. Thank you so much, doctors, for spending your time with us today. In your dedication, commitment, courage deserve our deepest gratitude and admiration. Your service to patients is saving thousands of lives and making a difference in many lives. Thank you so much, doctor, and have a very happy Doctor's Day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all of you, madam.
Happy Doctor's Day, doctor.
Thank you, madam.
On behalf of the Gregorian staff, I'm honored to extend our gratitude to you, Dr. Bobby and Dr. Sapna, for the very candid and informative session. A big thank you for giving us the time and, giving us a glimpse into your lives too. Thank you very much, doctors. Thank you so much.
India's theme to celebrate Doctors' Day also focuses on encouraging the less improved areas of work in the medical profession. A garland of concrete steps taken towards developing our healthcare facilities would empower India in combating tough times together. Taking the example of evergreen and deeply respected Dr. Bidhin Chandra Roy, we should build a nation where health facilities are provided to every person. So, my fellow Gregorians, celebrate National Doctors' Day by embracing the medical professionals for their relentless dedication in combating the pandemic and making a small change for the future generations. Thank you.